Since the horrific Hamas massacre of October 7th, Israel is at war. It is a war that we did not start and we did not seek. Hamas massacred over 1,400 Israelis, babies, women, young girls, young men, children, the elderly, the disabled. He massacred them all. We will not forget that. Hamas also holds over 240 hostages, men, women, children, babies, the elderly, and the disabled. Today marks 30 days of holding of a 9-month-old baby hostage, Kfir Bivas. Now he's 10 months old. My young boy just turned a year a couple of days ago. Kfir Bivas is holding by Hamas in Gaza. It's unimaginable. It's a crime against humanity with other many children. Hamas commits crimes, war crimes, against Israelis, but also against the Gazan themselves. Hamas cynically uses civilians in Gaza as human shields. They kill their own people. This isn't just a terror tactic. Human shields are a key pillar in Hamas's operations. Until now, over 800 rockets are launch failed that landed inside Gaza and killed many Gazans. Today, I will be sharing evidence proving that Hamas systematically exploits hospitals as part of its war machine. We already shared evidence that Hamas operates command and control centers inside and under Shifa Hospital. We decided to declassify and share more sensitive intelligence with you, because the world must take immediate action against that. We are at war with Hamas, not with the civilians in Gaza. We have been calling on civilians in northern Gaza and Gaza City to temporarily move south of Wadi Gaza to a safer area, away from Hamas strongholds. We are monitoring the movement of the population through our humanitarian corridors and increasing our calls to the areas that have lower rates of evacuation. Here is a recent analysis of our evacuation efforts. Here you can see the millions of times we urged the residents of Gaza to move south. This is in addition to the effort that my unit made in the media and the social media and in the social networks, in Arabic also, and other languages, on many channels. Here you saw just how big this effort was and still is. As you can see here, Israeli intelligence has been working around the clock to reach as many people as possible. The Israeli Air Force dropped over 1.5 million flyers, like these ones here. The Israeli Air Force prioritized our evacuation effort over other missions. Prioritize evacuation effort over other missions. This is an example of a flyer urging the residents of Gaza to move to safer areas. Each new flyer had its own color and to indicate that it was new warning, more urgent call, and updates the corridors to move south. Let's watch how it looks like.
أيضا وصلني الآن يعني أحد المناشير وهو هنا سقط في مستشفى الشفاء، والذي يقول به الجيش الإسرائيلي إلى سكان مخيم الشاطئ: جيش الدفاع يطالبكم بالإخلاء الفوري من الشمال القطاع إلى المنطقة الإنسانية. وهذا طبعا نحن تعودنا عليه في تلك الأيام الماضية. هذا أحد المناشير التي ألقتها الطائرات الإسرائيلية والتي تطالب سكان منطقة مخيم الشاطئ بالتوجه إلى المنطقة الجنوبية من القطاع.
As you see, a journalist showed the IDF flyer explaining it to its viewers in Arabic. Gazan listened to approximately 6 million recorded phone messages in Arabic. I will now play for you one of the recorded messages that we sent to the residents of Jabalia, this place that civilians were being held by Hamas, urging them to evacuate south.
من أجل سلامتكم عليكم إخلاء بيوتكم فورا والتوجه إلى المناطق الموجودة جنوب وادي غزة. جيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي غير معني بالمساس بكم وبأفراد عائلاتكم. كل من يتواجد بالقرب من الإرهابيين أو بالقرب من مراكزهم ومنشاتهم سيعرض حياته للخطر. كما أن البيت الذي يستخدم على يد المنظمات الإرهابية سوف يتم استهدافه.
Israel wants civilians to move away, to move from Hamas strongholds. Gazan should not be used as human shields by Hamas. We made almost 20,000 personal calls. People were from Israel on the other side of the line. Live phone calls to neighborhood by neighborhood to keep people in those areas, including Jabalia. Like this phone call here, we made in the last few weeks to a resident in Jabalia.
عم بتصير هسه حاليا في كل منطقة جباليا، كل الناس الموجودين في منطقة جباليا، مش بس فيكم. بدنا نعطي انذار قبل الوقت لكل الناس في المنطقة لتطلعوا بصورة آمنة إلى الجنوب.
لكل جباليا
كل جباليا المعسكر المدارس كل جباليا.
ايوه ناس
كل هاي المنطقة حتى المدارس راح يكونوا مكان غير آمن بالمرة.
كل القطاع يعني
كل جباليا وحتى المدارس.
حتى المدارس. ماشي.
اوكي عملوا الجهود لتطلعوا لمكان آمن أكثر لإلكم.
Hamas is weak without human shields. Is weak. Hamas is actively stopping Gazans from moving to a safer area. Here is a call we declassified with a resident of Gaza. He's giving a testimony of how Hamas prevents Gazan from evacuating.
طب احنا انت تعرف انهم راجعونا ومش قادرين يروحوا على الجنوب. هذا اول بند، ثاني بند عندك الطيارات اللي صاروا طالعين مش على الجنوب. يعني احنا بين نارين، بين نار نطلع على الجنوب وبين نار نسكنها، ايش بدنا نعمل؟
أول شيء مين رجعك على الشمال؟
أنت بتعرف مين رجعونا، أنا ما بقدرش أحكي لك، أنت بتعرف مين رجعنا.
بس كتير ناس بيطلعوا على الجنوب وما بيرجعون.
اللي لهم طيارات بلفوا طرق التنقية، مش عندنا طيارات.
أنت شفت وسمعت هذا الشيء، أنت شفت وسمعت.
طب إحنا في المدارس، إحنا عايشين في المدارس.
And I want to show you how Hamas blocks the road. Hamas tries to prevent Gazans from moving south. They put roadblock to stop civilians from leaving Jabalia. I want to be clear. The IDF adjusted our ground operations to keep the corridors from the north to the south open. But Hamas is attacking our forces like yesterday that opened this corridor. This is why we had to stop the corridor yesterday. Hamas was attacking our forces with anti-tank missiles on this road, preventing the corridor to be open. Hamas tries to prevent Gaza from moving south. This is what we are doing. Now let's look at what they are doing. We know Hamas hides behind civilians in Gaza. Hamas places forces and weapons inside, under, and around schools, mosques, homes, and UN facilities. Among the worst of Hamas war crimes is the use of hospitals to hide their terror infrastructure. We already revealed Hamas Command and Control Center under the Shifa Hospital. Now let's talk about two more hospitals. Hamas uses hospitals to disguise their war machine is systematic. The Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani Hospital is located north of the Gaza city along the coast. Its construction was funded by the Qatari government and it's called the Qatari Hospital. Here you can see the IDF soldiers exposing a tunnel opening. This is part of an operation, a ground operation that was conducted on the hospital, then revealed a tunnel that was being used for terror infrastructures in the Qatari hospital. If it wasn't enough, this tunnel, if it wasn't enough that we expose the tunnel under the hospital, the terrorists also shoot at our soldiers from within the hospital. I will now play a video for you taken recently from Qatari hospital. You will see Hamas terrorists firing at the IDF soldiers from the inside of the hospital, a hospital funded by Qatar. We already released evidence of Hamas' use of Shifa hospital to shield its terror complex. And Hamas uses the Qatari hospital for terror as well. Today we will also release evidence that the Indonesian hospital is being used by Hamas to hide the underground command and control center. This is an Indonesian hospital. This picture was taken in 2023. You can see the hospital structures in south of the roundabout of both sides of the road. The hospital is located in northern Gaza between Jabalia and Bet Hanun. The construction of the hospital was funded by several NGOs from Indonesia. I will show you the reason why they built the hospital there. This picture here was taken in 2010 when the hospital was under construction. Take a look here at the area in red. They were Hamas terror outposts. Unsurprisingly, Hamas built the hospital on top of their terror infrastructures. Those outputs of Hamas had underground facilities before they started to construct the hospital, the Indonesian hospital. There are three important areas to point out. The first area is the collection of cement materials here. You can see here arches. These arches are very, very unique. It's a unique structure. It's only used for underground terror facilities for Hamas. These cement arches are not needed when building hospitals. They are used to build underground city of terror, an underground metro of tunnels. We have watched Hamas use these arches to build tunnels for many years. Instead of building homes for Gazans, he built this metro over hundreds of kilometers underneath Gaza and underneath places like hospitals and mosques. They are building underground terror infrastructures for Hamas. Here you can see the entrance to an underground tunnel. Hamas used this tunnel to access their command and control complex under the hospital. This is all satellite, and of course all these images and intelligence and more was shared with other agencies to confirm what I'm showing you now. Now let's take a look at the hospital in 2020. You can see that the cement materials, including the arches, are no longer above the ground. Done. It's all underneath the ground. This is a satellite image of the hospital complex taken after the massacre of 7th of October. I'm going to zoom in on the area here, okay? Across the street. Only 75 meters, 80 meters to the hospital. Here, the IDF identified a launch pad, meaning they launch rockets from here. I want to repeat it. They launch rockets on Israel 75 meters from an hospital. Why? They know precisely that if Israel will airstrike a launch pad like that, the hospital would be damaged. And this was part, of course, of the outpost before, in 2010, this architecture of underground facility, including launch pads. Here you see layer by layer how Hamas systematically built the Indonesian hospital to disguise its underground terror infrastructure. And we see that they use the area around the hospital as a base for terror against Israel today. Now I want to reveal evidence that Hamas steals fuel from the Indonesian hospital. Next, we will listen to a phone call from November 2nd with an official closely affiliated to Hamas terror organization. Let's listen.
لازم انا بحكي انه اجوا لي في الاندونيسي قال عم بيبعثوها، بتعرف طلعوا الاعلام قال بعد 12 ساعه بوقفوا، نزلوا الموقود والساعات وهيك.
الدعايات كثير، انت بحب الدعايات كثير. انا بقول لك لما بتشوف انت طفى رسمي وولع الشمع واللتات بتقول الله يعطيه العافيه.
نازلين لنا نقص سولر ونقص سولر، ولا عندهم نقص شيء.
كذابين.
السولر اللي عم بوصل لسه على الشفا وعلى الاندونيسي وعلى ناصر وعلى الرنتيسي وصلوا من مين؟
هذول مخزون موجود في هذول المصريين اللي حكيت لك عنه.
بس المستشفيات عم بتقول لي انه عم بوصلوا لهم اياهم بتعرف ناس اللي بتيجي تتبرع عرايم. السؤال في منه ولا هذا كمان لعبه اللي عم بيلعبوها حماس؟
كذابين. انا حكيت لك امبارح كيف انت بتشغل بتقول فيش عنده سولار وفي سيارات او المحطات بتعبي بنزين وسولار. عرفت انت العجز مين قبل المستشفى ولا المحطه والموتوسيكل والسيارات؟ قول لي مين قبل؟ انت خليك مكان.
This phone call and others can be authenticized and verified by other agencies that we send them more materials that I cannot reveal here. Agencies of the United States and United Kingdom will verify these materials. This call that we intercepted reveals a few things. While Hamas screamed to the world about a lack of fuel, there is no shortage of fuel in Gaza. Hamas has the fuel. It's in the hands of Hamas. The leadership and the member of Hamas are lying. Hamas has fuel. Hamas stores this fuel underneath hospitals in Gaza, the very hospital that Hamas tells the world's running out of fuel. I will now share one last audio recording with you that we intercepted. Hamas
اللي بقى متوفر في الشمال عندي وتحت ايدي 1000 لتر، هذول بكفهم بس لبكره بس، بالباقر والكباشات والسيارات تاعتي. الان احنا عندنا تقريبا 4 ايام بنعبي سولار من اللي اخذناه من الاتصالات. طيب مش قلت تاخذ من المستشفى؟ فيش باقي ساحبه عاطف جاي امبارح ساحبه كله ماخذه على الاندونيسي. طيب انتوا اشتغلوا للحد اللي يعني الحين احنا اليوم قد ما تقدر ده كان بكره حلينا ان شاء الله خير. الحين هي مشكله.
Hamas moves fuel from the hospital to terrorists. Okay? In Jabalia. Meaning moving it from Shifa to Jabalia. From Shifa Hospital to Jabalia. The same Jabalia that Ibrahim Be'ari, the murderous commander, was killed. They move fuel to Jabalia because Jabalia is a terror center. They steal the fuel from the hospital, the fuel terror infrastructure. Finally, I want you to see Hamas in their own words.
البعض يتساءل، وهذا سؤال رائج وشائع، يعني من قام بتشييد 500 كيلومتر من الأنفاق، لماذا لم يشيد مآوي يلجأ إليها المدنيون خلال القصف؟
نحن شيدنا الأنفاق لأنه لا نملك ما ندفع به عن أنفسنا من القتل والاستهداف. هذه الأنفاق من أجل أن نحمي أنفسنا من الطائرات، نحمي مقاتلين من الأنفاق. أما القطاع غزة فأنت تعلم والجميع يعلم بأنه 75% منه لاجئين، واللاجئين هو مسؤولية الأمم المتحدة في حمايتهم. مسؤولية الاحتلال في أن يقدم كل تبعا لاتفاقية جنيف الدولية أن يقدم لهم كل الخدمات وهم تحت الاحتلال.
Human shields are a key pillar of Hamas terror operations. Hamas systematically exploits hospitals as a key part of its war machine. This is the murderous organization we are dealing with. Hamas doesn't even try to hide it. They say it out loud and it's loud and clear. Here is Hamas leader Abu Marzouk a few days ago on TV interview confirming that Hamas builds tunnels in hundreds of kilometers to protect its terrorists. Who's above? The innocent civilians are above. But more than that, he admits that Hamas is not responsible for the civilians in Gaza. It's the world's problem, they say. They don't even hide their logic of using human shields as a part of their terror and war machine. Hamas is hiding behind hospitals. Hamas is sickly exploiting hospitals to disguise its war machine. Our war is with Hamas, not with the civilians of Gaza. We will not accept Hamas' cynical use of hospital to hide their terror infrastructure. I want to repeat. We will not accept Hamas's cynical use of hospitals to hide their terror infrastructures. Hamas exploitation of hospital must come to an end.